We are still, like, as a school, still waiting on about 1,000 students to submit their course requests. So if you have not done that yet, the very last day to do it is Sunday, or they're just gonna do your schedule for you.
So I'm gonna do it right now. You just put it in, there's no submit button, right?
I don't think so. I've heard that there is a submit button.
Yeah,
You just put them in. Okay. Any other questions about it? Yeah. Can you go what? Oh, yeah. Okay, let me get your attention. Does anyone have any questions about those course requests? Okay, the other announcement is that your nonfiction books are going to be due in about a month. I know I'm still grading the ones from before. Basically, if you did the ones from before and I can kind of tell that you were interacting with the text, you're getting full points, but I'm giving you a few comments as I go. So some of you have had it done, like Lexi, because she's always at the beginning of the alphabet. I can't remember exactly where I am, but I've gotten through about 20 of them now. So those will go in soon, but your next one is due April 5th, which is a month from now. So if you haven't started reading it, get started on reading it. Okay, any questions about that? It's the exact same assignment. I hope after getting into all these argument like papers, you're seeing the use in reading those nonfiction books, because you can often apply them to your argument essays, and it'll be so good come test time to have a bunch of things to say. All right, then today we're gonna do a couple more ACT practices. And then we're gonna do one AP practice. So it's full of multiple choice today. The AP one is a different style though. We're getting into a different style. This is ACT. Keep it upside down. Easy one. So you want to just use those words?
I don't want to take this one.
So take the AP one then.
Yeah, I got it. But I see no point in doing this.
Okay. If I'm not taking the AP test, and I'm not
Taking the AP test. Why not? You're fine.
it's not worth the credit that I'm
You would pass so fast.
Talk to my sister about this.
Why your sister?
Because my mom thinks that my sister knows everything about college planning, and so she has her make me do like my entire AP.
BYU does need a 4 or 5. If you go to 3, they don't count it. But you do get out of that. It's the English 115 class, which is terrible. Oh well. Oh well.
Blame my sister.
Okay, I will.
Every time I'm not taking physics test. Physics is literally so good.
And you have so much fun taking it, proving what you know.
Although
I can give you a fake
I
one.
am taking the calculus one, which
that's
is so much fun.
Okay, so there are. Let's break it up again because that's a little bit more fun. So I'm gonna push us to do it a little bit faster. This is the same test, end of the same test
Wait,
that we've been
can we
doing.
go like
Mm-mm.
oh, so this is the final part.
Yeah.
Last stretch.
All right, so you're going to do questions 46 through 60. And then when you get to 60, stop. And we're gonna go for 8 minutes. Okay, ready? Go. It was a little harder. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you the answers. I'm gonna give you the answers from back here. So I'm being lazy. And then I'm going to let you talk about the ones that you did not get right, okay? So 46 is F, 47 is B, 48 G, 49 D, 50 F, 51 B. B is in brother. 52 F, 53 D, 54 H, 55 D, 56 H, 57 A, 58 G, 59 C, and 60 J. Okay, talk with the people next to you about the ones you got wrong. See if they can explain. Okay, let's talk about these together. So there were quite a lot of like dash parentheses types questions in this section. Sometimes they'll group the types of questions together like that. So 48, the reason that that is G is because you can't have a comma and a parenthesis to do non-essential information. You got to choose one or the other. And then you have to set aside little interjections like, for example, however, though, any of those kind of transition words, you got to set those aside in commas. So we know that we've got to have a comma after peak. So the only answer there is G that is written correctly. If they had chosen to not use the parentheses and use commas instead, that would have been okay, but that wasn't an option for us. So we go with G. 51 is a little bit tricky, but it's that same rule as subject, verb, object, that you don't want to separate any of those parts of speech from each other. So you've got scientists, recorded, wind speed of 231 miles per hour. That dash right there, that could be a dash, that could be a colon, it could be no, just a dash, a colon, it could be a comma too. But the problem is that they have this part put aside. That's the part that we're really looking for. And so we got to find one that doesn't stick those things as non-essential information, because it's really important that we know what the wind speed is. They're talking about what wind speed was recorded. So we don't want to say that that would be non-essential. And then this is one of those examples. I want to say it was this class that asked me, is there ever an example where the dash, there's a dash and then it ends in a period? And I couldn't think of an example. This is an example. It's this extra information that is at the end of the sentence. That would be okay to do it that way and end it with a period. Yeah, right. Are there any others you want to go over? Again? Oh, we track the subject of the sentence, right? So on 47, it says weather conditions. And if you took out everything extra in that sentence and you just said weather conditions earned the location, the nickname, you see that it's a plural. Weather conditions are plural, and that's what we're basing that verb on. So weather conditions have earned the location, the nickname. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you just track back to what that subject is. Any others you want to go over from this section? All right, let's do the last one. I'm going to give you 8 minutes again.
Dr. Borf, I lost my 100%.
Oh, did you miss one?
I missed 2.
Oh,
But
okay.
if I had more time, I would have got a 58 right. I've been playing about that one.
All right, are you ready? 8 minutes on the clock. Go. Again. So 61 is C. 61 C. 62 G. 63 D. 64 J. 65 B. 66 F. 67 B. 68 F. 69 D. 70 F. 71 C. 72H, 73D, 74F, 75D. Okay, talk to each other about the ones you got wrong. All right. After doing this last section, are there any that you want to discuss?
63.
63.
Yeah, that one.
All right, so
Wait, what's 63?
Wait, what was 63?
63 is D.
Oh, wait, so I got.
Okay, on 63 is D. You could just use that rule that I told you, which is simplest is usually best, and simplest would work here. This is also looking for redundancy. So what does the word revolutionized mean? It means affected both incredibly, right? Revolutionize, to revolutionize railroad and factory operations. It means the same thing as affecting both things incredibly. And so we want to get rid of one of those phrases, and both of those, or all of our options have redundancy in them. Revolutionize means changing it so that changing them fundamentally. Revolutionize means changing them so they will never be the same. So there's no need to repeat that information. So we cut out all the redundancy and we're left with D. Okay, any other ones you want to go over? 68. So it says McCoy applied the principles of this invention to other engineering challenges. Factories in the late 1800s, for example, increasingly relied on steam engines to power factory machines. So we're about to get into another engineering challenge that McCoy, helped, right? That he solved. So subsequently means after. Regardless is in opposition to, and however is in opposition to, and none of those work. And so we got to stick with, for example, there. It works okay. Any others that you want to go over? Yeah.
For 72.
Yeah.
I feel like H and J both are applicable. So like, how do you decipher between two very?
So let's see. Phrase is relevant to the paragraph's discussion of the positive effects, or because the phrase makes clear that the successful use of McCoy's invention in factories led to higher wages for factory workers. It's actually not talking about factory workers, it's just talking about profits. It could be that the people at the top of the factory just got richer and richer and didn't pass that on, So it doesn't have specific enough information for us to choose J, so it's got to be H. Any others? Yeah.
Just for 66 really fast, I thought like lowering the amount. I could also see why you would just leave it, but like how would you like make that distinction why that was better than the other one?
Honestly, that was one of those ones that I just felt it. I was trying to figure that out too. Substantially reducing the number of maintenance stops or lowering the amount of maintenance stops. Here's what I think. I think amount is not as quantifiable as number. And what you can count how many stops you have, but you can't. It's not necessarily an amount, which feels more like a volume. Yeah.
Could it also just be like a simplest, like a no change would be.
The simplest answer.
Because
Yeah.
they're all kind of like similar, I guess.
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out because ACT doesn't do that thing where it's like the best out of good options. It's always like the only right one out of a bunch of wrong options. So I think that number has to do with things you were able to count, and amount means a volume. All right, any others? Okay, you can toss that or put it away or whatever. And we're gonna do a AP multiple choice now. It's not.
Honestly, the essays are fine, but
All right, let me explain this. Let me get your attention. Quiet. Stop talking. Okay, I am giving you a different style of AP questions. So on the AP test, there are two styles of multiple choice. One is the comprehension questions. That's what we have been doing so far. Those are significantly harder than the ACT. They kind of match up with the ACT reading, though, where you read passages and you answer questions about those passages. And they're testing whether or not you really understand those passages and the rhetorical choices the writer is making. This style of question on the ACT is more like the English, this style of question on the AP test is more like the English portion of the ACT. They don't ask about grammar, so that part's different. But all of these questions about like, should they add something? Where should it be added? What would be the best order for this idea? That's what these are like, yeah. So it's more about composition. They call these composition multiple choice questions. The other ones are comprehension multiple choice
So
questions.
they just took all the worst from the ACT and put it on this.
They're just like, it doesn't matter if you know grammar. We're testing whether or not you're a good writer. So this only has 6 questions because AP has not released a full test with this style of question. Last year was the first year that they did this style of question. So this only has 6 questions. And they kind of plan for you to take a little bit longer on these questions because the options for answers are longer and you have to do some like going back and forth with the passage. So we kind of plan on 1.5 minutes for these questions, which means you have 9 minutes for 6 questions.
Okay.
So it goes a little bit slower that way.
How many questions are on?
I can't remember. I think it's. I'll find the.
Is it a lot?
Like 45, I think, but it's 45, but I can't remember how many are comprehension, how many are
Oh, okay,
composition.
so 45 total.
Okay, so we're gonna try this new style. If you want, I think it's easier to rip the front page off of it, because then you have the passage in front of you the whole time. And we're gonna take 9 minutes. Ready? Go. Time has started. Okay, question 1.
This is one.
Question 1 is C. Okay, how many people got that one right? All right.
However works better.
Question 2, B.
Oh, wait.
Who got that one right?
I was looking at the wrong one.
Okay. Question 3, B. Did you get it right?
What was it?
Adrian? B is in beautiful.
Okay, I don't know that. It's not that is not correct.
Okay, question 4, E.
Yeah.
Okay, who got it right?
Even though all those
Okay. Question 5 is A. Who got it right? Okay, that one was tricky. Yeah, I agree. I agree between A and E, right? Yeah. And then question 6A. You got it right? That's one
Okay,
wrong.
wait.
Okay.
So quick rundown.
Yeah.
C, B,
Yeah.
I just put a devastating.
A,
Okay.
A.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the reason I didn't get year 6. It says that consumers can't diversify the types of bananas they grow and eat. Consumers can't grow them. Consumers are just eating them. That's why I did.
But producers need to grow and consumers need to eat. Producers and consumers need to grow and eat. So it's okay because the parallelism has the 2 verbs. You'd be right otherwise, but yeah.
I missed one word.
Not too bad, not too
That's okay.
bad. All right, up here. So just like on the other multiple choice sections on the AP test, we're shooting for 60%. These tend to be, this is why I kind of wait for these ones. These tend to be a little bit easier than the comprehension questions. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
There is like a little more like subjectivity involved in them, which can make them difficult. When we look at the one with devastating, what's that? Delicious and productive or a devastating fungus. When I look at that, it's like feel the impact of the loss of this kind of banana. I think that consumers and people who eat bananas are going to be more impacted when they see that it used to be a great banana and is no more.
All the banana flavored candy, by the way, is that previous banana flavor.
What class do you learn?
Really?
That's why
I
I
learned it
tasted
like
it.
randomly some time ago.
It was just like mentioned in one class. One class was just like, no.
And that's why I went with A, but that was a tough one. Yeah.
I think too, if you look, right, if you choose E, if you read the whole sentence, it's talking about a fungus that kills the banana tree. But then later on in the paragraph after the sentence, it's still talking about like, it's almost like reintroducing the fungus. They're still talking about the same thing. So it's kind of.
That's a
redundant
great
if
point.
you put it in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so it's like looking for those same redundancy issues that the ACT is. Oh, Grace, yeah, Gracie.
I have a different question about like.
Okay.
essays, so you can do that.
Oh, okay, 1 second. Yeah, Lucy.
I was just gonna say on 4, so that's, I feel like we need to talk. On 4, some of us click, I'm not click.
Some of us,
We put A because we inserted as it is now, instead of terribly, and made sense.
Oh, so you were saying banana is as it is now, lacking in diversity.
Oh, that actually would make so much sense.
But that's not what they meant. It's kind of like the no change option.
Okay, I feel like that is like a valid.
That is valid, yeah.
That's very valid.
Okay, Gracie, what was your question?
Okay, so for the essays, and you have like an example or like evidence that you like thought of, but you aren't sure if the person who's grading would know about that specific, would you use the evidence you have and then, or would you like would you take longer to like think?
Use the evidence you have and just use an extra sentence or two to explain it to that person. Yeah, so if it's like you're talking about Phineas and Ferb and you're like, I don't know how old she is, you would say that was a popular show in the early 2000s or whatever.
Really cool band.